lots of rake, almost 15 centimetres underneath the rear of the car, and the front's right down on the floor now. So that really still works for them, and that's carried on. But this time last year, when we were looking at the RB13, it was almost shorn of any complexity. There was no sort of detail on there, and that was lots of problems that Red Bull were having over the winter. Through 2017, they corrected that. The car became, up to the level of performance, the level of complexity of its rivals, and that's really where we start 2018 with the RB14. It's a fairly typical Formula 1 front wing. This year they've made some extra slots in the outboard sections on the Y250 inboard sections that we speak so much about. Now these are the parts of the wings that doesn't create downforce but is actually shaping the airflow around the car, particularly getting that front tyre wake away from the rest of the bodywork. So there's been extra complexity there. Still have the nose hole at the front. I was expecting that to change this year, but I guess if it's not a problem, if it works for them.
OK, so now we move to the side of the car, where maybe Adrian Newey will have been doing a lot of work over the winter. We know he's more involved now than he was, say, 12 months ago.
Exactly. So if we roll down, look at the side pod area and the barge board area, this is where all the winter work has really been going on. And Red Bull have copied Ferrari's idea where you move the side pod in up high and then move the crash structure below it. That gives you a nice big area underneath for the undercut. Now, Red Bull have shaped this quite differently, and this is where I think Adrian Newey, you can almost see him drawing the contours on the drawing board.
With the pencil.
With his pencil, and you see it in his book as well. He's actually, I think it was the RB6 that he drew, which showed you how he thinks of the contours. So rather than the undercut being very sort of concave shaped, it's much more sloping outwards from the bodywork before you get this like limpet-like bodywork over the radiators and the engine. Very different shape to what we see in other cars. Kind of harks back to the RB5, where it's just tapering down from the shark fin down.
OK, let's move to the back of the car now.
In this respect, the Red Bull's actually quite conventional. There's nothing trick going on here. So the exhausts are relatively low, relatively flat, like they have been for everyone. Only Renault have raised them up, angled them up to try and blow the rear wing. So that's not something that's on there. In terms of where they're blowing the oil out from the engine, that appears to be underneath the exhaust. You can kind of sort of see tucked down there.